On today's Wacky Wednesday, Matt Powell has proof that God exists.
The fact that I'm sitting here right now is proof that God exists.
What a fucking moron. I couldn't agree more, Dr. Peel. Also on today's Wacky Wednesday, Flat Earth Observer goes from toy crane driver to body language expert.
What's their body language?
And as a bonus round, I start fighting the flab. 1, 2, down, 1, 2. All that on today's Wacky Wednesday. Yes, how do, dearest viewer, and welcome back to my little corner of the YouTubies and another Thriller Millennium episode of Wacky Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, before we move on, please like, share and subscribe. That would be fantastic. Thank you so much. I did that all by myself by pressing some hotkeys. Anyway, thank you so much, and please comment and, you know, etc, etc. You know the drill by now. And thank you to my amazing patrons, Alan L, Bob Sadler and Sven Dwellens. Thank you so much. Now, on with today's video, and first up it is Matt Powell official. Thank you, Dr. Peel. Yes, oxygen thieving gobshite Matt Powell believes he has proof for the existence of God. Now, I'm willing to bet you a whole packet of milk chocolate hobnobs that he does not have proof for the existence of God. You're on, Dr. Peel.
There is evidence for God.
No, there isn't. I'm sorry. If you want to carry on believing in God, that's absolutely fine. But please don't claim there's proof for his existence, because there really isn't.
They say, well, what's your evidence for God?
Oh, I may have been mistaken. Maybe he has evidence for God. Let's find out.
Time, space, and matter being here right now is proof that God exists.
No. Just because we can't answer the question of where this initial singularity came from, and just because we can't answer the question yet on what caused the Big Bang, doesn't mean that God did it, does it? It doesn't, and it never will, because God doesn't exist, and I'm very, very sorry about that. So, Dr. Peel, have you got those milk chocolate hobnobs ready? Oh, fuck off, Mr. Jones. Not very nice, is it?
The fact that I'm sitting here right now is proof that God exists.
No, it isn't. It is proof only that your parents bumped uglies and conceived over 2 decades ago.
The fact that this matter and energy that we see around us exists is proof that God exists. Because things don't come into existence on their own by magic.
Really? Your God did.
They say, well, where did your God come from? What do you mean come from? He didn't come from anywhere. If he had to come from somewhere, that means he's created. You can't create something that's eternal.
Well, I tend to agree. If something's created, then it had a beginning, obviously. And probably, therefore, by definition, it can't be eternal. Because, obviously, man isn't perfect. Man builds things, so why should things be perfect? It's just the way of the world, unfortunately. Nothing lasts forever. But this God of yours, where did he exist before time, space and matter? He had to have existed somewhere, but if there was nothing before time, space and matter, where did he exist? If there was nothing to exist in. This is why there are atheists. It just sounds so incredible that this omnipotent being, this all-seeing, all-powerful, all-knowing God built trillions of stars, built trillions of planets, and stuck us on the only one that could sustain life, and he built all that and all the life and everything like that in 6 days, and yet he needs some men to write him a book. Why does God need man to do his work for him? This is why there are atheists, because it just sounds so ridiculous and so implausible it's untrue.
Who created God? That's like asking who created the thing that created everything and that by definition cannot be created.
But these are questions that need answers. It's not good enough to say, well, God's eternal, is it? I mean, God says he's eternal. Where does it say that? It says it in the Bible. Right. Who wrote the Bible? God wrote the Bible. Right.
Who created the thing that cannot be created? That's what they're asking. Who painted the painter?
Ever heard of a self-portrait?
Who designed the architect?
Ever heard of a self-architect?
Who built the builder?
Who built the... You're not making any sense whatsoever. Who designed the architect? Who built the builder? Makes some sense, man.
It's a logical question to ask. Who created God? It's false.
No, it isn't. It's a perfectly reasonable question. Or a more accurate question would be, where did God come from? That would probably be a better question. And I bet you can't answer that either. So, Dr. Peel, have you got my milk chocolate hobnobs ready? Well, the thing is, Mr. Jones, I'm a bit worried about your weight. So, will a salad butty do instead? Well, you bet-welching scumbag. Oh, me? A bet-welching scumbag? You've got me all wrong, Mr. Jones. You see, eating far too many chocolate hobnob biscuits has turned you into a right fat bastard. I am just merely looking after your health. So, put down the biscuits and eat more salad and do more walking. Then you'll be slim like me. Prick. I'm done with Dr. Peel and his unfeasibly small winkle, so let's move on to somebody else with an equally unfeasibly small winkle, and that is Flat Earth Observer. Now, being a moon landing denier, he of course has a problem with the press conference that the Apollo astronauts held when they got back on terra firma.
This is obviously the Apollo 11 moon landing post press conference.
Well, duh. What do you think they are? Trainee bingo callers?
Man's greatest achievement.
Finally, Flat Earth Observer, something we agree on.
They left here on a rocket, went into a vacuum,
Near perfect vacuum, if you don't mind.
circled a ball, landed on it,
Walked about a bit, took some samples, did a bit of exploring, and then took off from the ball.
docked with an orbiting craft, and then flew back, landed in the ocean, came back. An amazing, amazing achievement. An incredible adventure.
And being an alleged crane driver and fraudulent flat earther, you've oversimplified things. It was far, far more complicated than you make out.
And we joined them at the start of the press conference. They're literally oozing excitement, adrenaline, still buzzing at the after effects of this incredible journey. Let's have a look.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the Apollo 11 crew, astronauts Neil.
I've got to tell you, they've just come back from the moon, yeah? The greatest achievement of all time. I look happier on a Monday morning before I'm going to work.
Well, 3 weeks after splashdown and 1 week after spending a fortnight in quarantine, I'd be a bit knackered and I'd be a bit miffed as well.
Armstrong, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin. Neil?
I mean, anyone with any common sense here can already see they're lying.
Wow, how very perceptive of you. They've not uttered a single solitary word, and yet you've come to the zany conclusion that they are lying. There is only one liar around here, Mr. Flat Earth Observer, and we both know who that is, don't we?
They're uncomfortable. I don't know the situation behind it.
So you don't know the situation behind it. Right. So, they haven't said a single word, and you don't know the situation behind it, but yet you've come to the conclusion that they're lying.
But, I mean, we saw the footage. The Apollo, one of the Apollo landers taken off a few weeks ago. How terrible the production of that was.
Just because you believe that the moon landings didn't take place does not make it true, does it?
And of course, we saw when Neil and Buzz were coming back from the moon, supposedly last week or whenever it was, and he was all over the shot. Just terrible. It's awful. It's fake.
And yet you've provided absolutely no evidence whatsoever. None. Nada. Not a single jot. All you've done is provide your opinion. And, as I've said before, and I will say it again, your opinions are not evidence.
And if you needed more evidence...
What do you mean more evidence? You haven't provided any evidence.
To just satisfy yourself. Not that there's enough evidence already. You only need to watch these three guys.
Oh, Jesus, you can't even count now.
Watch their body language.
Oh, body language expert now, are we? Right, okay. I'm no expert in lying, unlike you. So I would suggest that the way you just stuttered and you got 2 and then 3 guys, the way that you did that then, I would say that you're lying.
Watch the sketchiness about them all. Watch the awkwardness about it all. It's obvious.
There you go again with your opinions. Watch this, watch that. It's sketchy. Look at the uncomfortable. It's awkward. No, these are your opinions. You're not giving us any evidence. Again.
It was our pleasure to have participated in one great adventure. It's an adventure that took place not just in the month of July, but rather...
I actually feel sorry for Neil here. I feel sorry for him. No wonder he became a recluse.
Don't you dare patronise him, you horrible little man. I mean, Armstrong wasn't a recluse. You know, he took a teaching job after he quit NASA. He went teaching in a university. He had various business activities. He even went to the North Pole in 1985. Hardly a recluse. And in the decade before his death, he became more open. He just shunned the limelight. He didn't want any part of it. Didn't make him a recluse. He just didn't like it.
One that took place in the last decade. We all here and the people listening in today had the opportunity to share that adventure over its...
When you do something that's out of the ordinary, especially this dangerous, like flying on rockets, landing on balls, flying through vacuums, getting back in rockets, coming back to another ball. You do stuff dangerous like that, you're filled with adrenaline. You're buzzing. You do something like that, you'd be buzzing for days. I mean, come on, look at these 3 guys.
Wow, so you're an expert on human physiology as well as body language and toy cranes. What a wanker. What must it be like inside your tiny little head? I do not know, and I dread to think. And I don't care to know either. But, anyway, back to the vid. If I was going on a mission to set foot on the moon, or to be the first person on the moon, I've done a few circuits of the Earth, slungshot my way towards the moon, landed on it, gathered a few samples, did a bit of exploring, jumped back in my spaceship, got back to Earth, splashed down in the middle of absolutely nowhere without a fucking clue where I am, and probably wondering why I'm getting rescued. And then I got rescued. The one thing that I'd be filled with is fucking happiness. Happiness that I'd made it back to the planet with my life intact. That's probably what I'd be filled with. Wow, how amazing. My spacesuit, however, would be filled with something entirely different. That would be filled with adrenaline, that's for sure, because I would have absolutely crapped myself. I wouldn't have even made it to the rocket, to be honest. But anyway, you claim they look miserable, but let's take a look at them in quarantine, just after splashdown. Wow, don't they look happy? And all that, despite knowing that they're going to be locked in there for the next 2 weeks.
There's no adrenaline involved with these guys. Only awkwardness and sketchiness. It's obvious. I keep saying it, but it fucking is.
I keep saying this and all. You're giving us your opinion. You're not giving us any evidence.
And unfolding in the past months and years. It's our privilege today to share with you some of the details of that final month of July.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. We won't go on much longer, but you get the point. You got three guys, sketchy as hell, awkward as hell, supposedly come back from a great journey where they'd be filled with adrenaline, buzzing. And look at it. Look at them.
Well, it's a shame you didn't keep watching the press conference, because as it went on, you know, they became a bit more open, a bit more jovial. There was a lot more smiling. So, you know, the next time you're going to try and debunk something, try watching the whole video first. Right, I think I should leave Yellow Earth Observer and his personal incredulity to it and move on to something more interesting. Yes, my exercise regime. Now, as you may or may not have noticed, I have an obvious weight problem. I eat too much and I exercise too little. So, to combat this, I've bought one of these. See, look at that. Isn't it nice? All blue, like me. Anyway, I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of what I should do. So, move this out of the way. Oh, you can still hear me now. Right. Let's get that way. Now, apparently it's very important to stretch before exercises. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to stretch. Doesn't matter. Right. Here we go. Oof, bloody hell. Takes us out of you, doesn't it? Oh, lordy, I'm a bit knackered. And there we go, another Wacky Wednesday video all done, dusted and delivered for your viewing displeasure. Thank you so much for joining me. Please consider becoming a Patreon for just £3 a month. Link is in the description below. Don't forget to join me on the next one, The Sunday Stupid, this Sunday at 8 PM. I'm going for a lie down. Ta-ra for a bit.